Hey guys, Pastor Ray here with our next daily devotion outside of the church, out in public on this one. Good to be with you. Our verses today are from Matthew 5, verses 38 to 42. So let me read it. And this is a section all about retaliation, hitting so many good things from the Sermon on the Mount here. So let's read it, and then we'll kind of like fill in some of the things that we might be thinking about here. It says, "You have heard it said that it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him also the other. And if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who begs from you, and do not refuse the one who would borrow from you." One of the things that we've kind of covered in that 400 years of silence between Old Testament and New Testament, we knew that the Pharisees have come in and have brought in their kind of own line of teaching, corrupting the original heartbeat of the Old Testament scriptures. And so for decades, for centuries really, false teaching had been instituted in the lifestyle of people in Israel. So we have this thing where they're making a reference. There's 3 references in the Old Testament to this eye for an eye. There's one in Exodus, there's one in the book of Leviticus, and there's also one in the book of Deuteronomy. And what we would see there is if I killed somebody, then my life should be taken from me. And when you get to Leviticus and you get to Deuteronomy, you see it in a judiciary sense, that if somebody were to do something, harm somebody, the state in its sense, or it wasn't necessarily government, because it was faith infused with kind of government back then, they would have the ability in a judiciary sense to be able to hold that person responsible. And what we see the Pharisees doing is now they're taking that and they're applying it in like all these personal kind of moments in the life of Israel. So every little thing you had the opportunity to retaliate against. So if somebody was mean to you, you can be mean right back to them. If somebody has taken something from you, you just take it right back. And what we see Jesus here is doing is keeping the things that should be handled by the state or by the judiciary there. And what Jesus is saying is all these interpersonal relationships that we should have a different way of approaching things. And that's where Jesus is saying, I'm calling you as my disciples, as my children, to live by the attitude of love. You must be able to forgive some of these little things that happen and look to, and for you and I, to look to their faith as something that we want to see them be one to Christ. And if we are getting caught up in all these little nuances, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, that's not going to happen. So Jesus is saying and showing us, hey, if somebody slaps you on the right cheek, give them the other. It's easy for us to take this very literally, but everything that we're seeing here on the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus is saying gouge out your eye or cut off your hand, these are metaphors to show us that this is not necessarily what we do literally, but Jesus is proving a point. And the point for you and I in this is, if someone slaps you by the right, it doesn't necessarily, hey, hit me again. Or if someone takes your cloak from you, hey, here, I got another one. Or I'm going to walk 2 miles with you. Jesus is trying to say, in all these personal relationships, you have to be willing to forgive. You have to be willing to have these little things that get under your skin, that get under my skin, to be able to forgive and to be able to then go the extra mile to really step in and to be able to say, okay, how can I be an effective witness? Because we're called to love God and to love others. And how can we love others if we're always walking around with this hostility of what people are doing in and around us? So Jesus is doing a check on our heart, as he's always doing throughout the Sermon on the Mount. And so I hope today that you're seeing that the scriptures aren't showing us that we just retaliate in every little situation. Someone cuts you off in traffic, I'm going to cut them off. Somebody says unkind to you, I'm going to be unkind to them. And that we walk in a different way. We walk like as if we are baby Christ, little Christians. And as God is conforming us into his image, he's going to give us these moments every single day for you and I to have an opportunity to not retaliate and to respond a different way. What's the different way we respond? It's a love that is going to be built up in our heart because we realize that this individual who could be harming us does not know Christ. And so how, in every situation, it's going to be different, it's going to be unique, but how can I exude love? How can I go the extra mile? How can I go out of my way to make sure that this context or this tension can turn in a way that I can focus it upon Christ, focus it upon the gospel? So it's hard. This is not easy to do, but this is what we've been called to do as Christians. So let's walk even today in forgiveness. And I guarantee you, there's going to be someone that gets under your skin today. How will you react? God bless you guys. Until next time.